Hello everybody, Ollie here. I've got something a little bit out of the ordinary for you. It has a bit of a complex setup, but then a very interesting twist. There's this Spanish bank called Bank Inter, who set up something called the Bank Inter Innovation Foundation, which is an organisation that acts as a go-between between investors who are looking to invest in a business and business people who have an idea and want people to invest money in it. And they like investing in new technology in particular. And this Bank Inter Innovation Foundation runs something called the Future Trends Forum. Every 6 months, this foundation, sponsored by a bank, gathers a bunch of experts from all around the world, flies them out to Madrid, sticks them in a hotel for a conference, and says, hey, what's gonna happen in the future? This year they are hosting this Future Trends Forum again, and the topic is longevity. People are living longer and longer, they're gonna gather all these experts together and say, hey, how's this gonna affect the world? Mainly the world of business, obviously. I have the guest list here in front of me, and this year it includes various academics from China and Israel, who are specialists in aging. Some hugely wealthy venture capitalists who invest in technology, the political activist Ashton Applewhite, a huge lobbyist from the US, Philip Lader, who was in Bill Clinton's presidential cabinet and is apparently really good friends with the Clintons, some CEOs, professors, political advisors, management consultants and corporate types, a roboticist from Japan who sounds really cool, some guy who did so many things for the Singaporean government that I can't even understand his CV. Like, basically, you know, Tony Stark, Scrooge McDuck, Beast from X-Men, Mr. Burns, and me. Yeah, it turns out that the guy who puts this Future Trends Forum together is a fan of my show, and indeed a patron of my show. Hi Chris, if you're watching. I really didn't think that CEOs and business leaders were in my core audience demographics, but turns out some of them are. He invited me to be a part of this conference. I mean, like, obviously, as you do, you've got your senior political advisors, you've got your internationally renowned scientists, you've got your kind of multi-millionaire hedge fund managers, and then actor who makes YouTube videos in his bedroom. Yeah, obvious. I see it's a natural progression. Obviously, you'd have me there. Tomorrow, as I'm filming this bit of the video, they are gonna fly me out to Madrid for 2 nights, and I'm gonna be in the room with all of these people who are so involved with business that I have read the guest list like twice, and some of them I still don't know entirely what they do. I'm even gonna get to speak. I get to like close out the first day of the conference and be like, hey, as somebody who's like really new to all of this, here's what I think of everything you've just said. Anyway, I thought that I should tell you all that this is happening because the only reason they know who I am, the only reason they invited me, is because of you. Because I have a show that people watch. So as far as I'm concerned, you deserve to know. I'm not being paid to go. They are taking care of the travel and so on, but I don't get a fee or anything. As far as I'm aware, the foundation doesn't profit directly from this. I don't think anybody profits from it, although they are obviously banking on it being useful to them in some sense. It sounded like something cool, and I wasn't doing anything, so I said yes. The other reason I wanted to share this with you is kind of for moral support. I'm actually a little bit nervous. I've never done anything like this before. I'm guessing it's gonna be a little bit more formal than like a YouTube convention, because it says that the first part of it is suit and tie only, and I'm actually gonna have to I need to check whether my suit still fits me because I've not worn a suit since I started going to the gym. This is not... No, this isn't... Okay. I've been looking at the schedule, it's pretty full on. They fly me out tomorrow and then they sort of start work more or less straight away as soon as we land, and then we work all day the next day, and then we work half a day the day after that, and then they fly me back. So it's 2 nights. Yeah, so I'm not going on holiday or anything. I'm gonna try and vlog some of it. I don't know how much I'll be able to record, but I wanna take you with me, because not only for the moral support, but again because I think you sort of have a right to see a little bit of what's going on. So yeah, let's go. We are here in Heathrow Terminal 5. I need to go and check in and drop my bags. I've got to go straight from the plane to a meeting, so I've got to wear my suit all the way on the tube, and I can't close the jacket. it doesn't fit. So I think all the business people are going to know. They're going to know I'm a fake. Successfully cleared security. Had to make me take my shoes off, and then the guy had to pat me down and search me. Foucault, of course, would say that surveillance is a power relation. It's Thursday morning. It's about 8:35. Conference starts in about 20-25 minutes. I've arrived at the hotel and it's nice. I met a few people last night who have come to the conference. Some of them are pretty interesting. I also met Chris, the guy who runs it, which is cool. And I found out that I actually have his daughter to thank for me being here, because apparently, Miranda, you sent your dad one of my videos and he then invited me to this conference. So cheers, thanks very much for that. I'm still not entirely sure what to expect from the day. I've gone down and had a look at the conference room and it's all very official, and there's sort of microphones, and it feels a bit like being at the UN. I'm still a little bit nervous. I've got to give this talk at the end of the day. I think they're all quite business types. They're not like massively into drama and culture, so I might, slip a bit of Shakespeare in there as well, and that's kind of dazzle them, and that'll hopefully be good. We've reached at the end of day one of the conference. We started at 9 o'clock, it's like 7:30 now, so it's a pretty full-on day. We've all been discussing all kinds of stuff, and I got to summarise at the end. I had to give my speech at the end, and I sort of said some stuff about King Lear. For me, the personal highlight of the day, I think everyone's highlight of the day, was a Japanese roboticist who's building robot seals to be like therapeutic animals for old people. And I asked him why a seal specifically, and he said it's so that cat lovers and dog lovers can both enjoy it. There was a cool British guy there as well, Aubrey, who thinks that he can cure aging. Like, oh yeah, we shouldn't be trying to like cure heart disease and cancer and Alzheimer's. We should just like stop people getting old, and then we don't even need to bother doing that. And I was like, wow, that's like some pretty impressive stuff that you think you can do there. There were some slightly cringe moments, especially when we were talking about like, what does the generation of 20 to 34-year-olds want? And people were like, oh, like we need to like market to them in this way, and we need to be like, yeah, they care about this sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, I mean, we're kind of just all in debt and broke, and we want jobs that aren't precarious, really, That's kind of what we like. A lot of us have got mental health problems. We've got to be cared for. I hope I've given the conference some good ideas. There's a lot of times I was kind of bringing up ethical issues. By all means, get excited about the possibility of the marketplace and selling a robot seal in every home. But let's make sure that we're not exploiting people while we're doing it. And when people talk about, oh, like people are happy when they work, I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's a difference between saying that people are happy when they do something creative and fulfilling that just takes time, and saying that people are happy when they work under capitalism in a way that maximizes profit for financial and business capital. Like those two are not quite the same. And I mean, I'm intrigued in how we measure happiness and how we bring happiness into economics, because a lot of the economists who were there actually were like, yeah, we want to bring happiness into our calculations and like figure out what makes people happy. I think it's time to have a bit of a rest. I'm trying to use the hotel Wi-Fi to upload the Philosophy of Antifa video. It's been going all day and it's like a third of the way there. So I'm just kind of trying to do that and relax for a bit before I go to dinner. Mr. Booze, Mr. B-double. It's about midnight. I just got back from dinner and had a really amazing time. I got off the stage and I thought my speech didn't go very well, and like I didn't think I was very good, but I was sitting with a few of the political activists who've been invited to the conference, and they were saying, oh, actually it went really well, and they loved it, and they were really complimentary about it, and really sweet. So that made me feel a lot better. And also what made me feel nice was that they were saying that same thing about their own work. They were saying, oh, I could have done this better, and I was worried the way I came across when I was saying this. So it was really nice that people who are more established and older than me in this sort of thing were having the same sort of worries. That was really cool. I also had an absolutely fascinating conversation with an Israeli venture capitalist who was explaining to me how venture capitalism works, and that he's like, oh yeah, I've got this fund that's worth 300 million and I've been investing it in this and that and all the rest of it. And I was like, wow, it's just a totally different world. It's day 2 and everyone's just filing into the conference room now. I'm really looking forward to it. I had a really good night out last night. I think a few people are coming in a bit late. I think a few people are hanging a bit low. Mr. Booze, Mr. I just watched two biologists have a discussion about artificial intelligence. It was Aubrey de Grey and Antonio Damasio debating whether or not you could upload your mind to a computer, and it was the most cringeworthy thing I've ever seen in my life. It was everything in my power not to sit there and be like, this is 30 years behind the philosophy. It was just, oh god. Anyway, we've got to go, we've got to work. I've just been reflecting on the last exercise we did, which was to, given everything we've learned about ageing populations and the future, we were asked to write a newspaper headline from like 2017 or 2027, 2037, all the way up to 2077. And we were asked to stick it on a big board, and it was really interesting to see what people put up. So Aubrey in the year 2077 put the headline, "Man dies," because he thinks that like people dying in 2077 will just be almost unheard of. There's one guy as well who put US government approves universal healthcare for all, and put that in like 2047. And underneath that I put President opens American healthcare memorial, which is like dedicated to all the tens of thousands of people who could have been saved had America chose to give people free healthcare sooner. Whilst this conference is going on, a lot of stories are coming out of the US about sexual harassment and famous men who've been facing repercussions for historical sexual harassment and assault. And a lot of the sort of older men at the conference have expressed worry. They've been saying things like, oh, you know, like, I can't even talk to a woman anymore. Like, if I say, oh, hey, nice dress or whatever, like, is that sexual harassment? Like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, and some of it's been sort of just slightly cringy, and some of it's been sort of actually quite creepy. It's like, oh, you know, you can't even talk to women anymore, and it's like it's political correctness going too far. It's been weird to see that at like the level of not just sort of ranty people on YouTube or you know, sort of college kids who are still learning these things, but sort of quite old, established, successful men are still having that kind of slightly creepy mindset. And I've had some interesting conversations with some of them, and some of them have been like, oh, yeah, cool, and some of them have been like quite defensive. Some of them have been saying things like this even when it's visibly making women in the room uncomfortable, which I found like really quite cringeworthy. There was another slightly tense moment when we were talking about healthcare and access to healthcare and what prevents people getting access to healthcare. And I brought up that systemic racism in the United States is a big factor that stops people getting access to the healthcare they need. And the two American guys at the table who I think at least one of whom does something in private healthcare, might be management or something, both of them immediately were like, whoa, what about like the poor white people as well? They don't get access as well. They like immediately, quite aggressively were engaging in like whataboutery. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting that you're like very defensive about that particular topic. Even though one of them later on acknowledged that where he lives in Chicago, like across the street, the life expectancy is 10 years lower than history. And but seemed very reluctant to think that maybe systemic racism has a part to play in health inequalities. One of the things we did talk about was how to teach people about changing social realities in a way that isn't patronizing, doesn't shame them for not knowing stuff. So at one point I mentioned transphobia, systemic transphobia, as a thing that stops people getting access to healthcare. And one of the guys who was there, who like I think again like plays a role in the provision of healthcare, said, what is transphobia? And part of me was like, whoa, like, do you not know that? But then part of me was like, well, it's perfectly possible to go through life and having never heard that. And even though it's sort of like, it's quite important that we know it, I realized that I didn't want to shame anyone for not knowing. Yeah, I hope I'm being clear about that. Right, well, we've just finished. We've had the last meeting of the day. I've got to get out of the hotel in like half an hour and get on the plane and get going. But it's really nice. Ended on a really positive note. A lot of inspiration for new videos as well. Not even necessarily from the main discussion, but even from the kind of side discussions I've had with people. I've been like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I'd quite like to do one on friendship in robotics and can you be friends with a robot? That's something that's quite fun. Obviously inspired by the robot seals. Yeah, I've got plenty of ideas and inspiration, and just had a wonderful time. Time to go home.
With the armrest down and your seatbelt is securely fastened, you may continue to use handheld electronic devices for landing. These must be held securely or placed into a pocket. Larger items, including laptops, cannot be switched off and stowed away safely. Also, please take a moment to remind yourself of your nearest exits.